Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we will be reviewing my 300 model airplane collection, and as you can see it has been, well, quite a while. So let's get right into the video. Enjoy. Here is the 300 models I have in my collection. Make sure to stick around till the end of the video to find out some exciting news about my upcoming video, as well as some stats about my collection. Let's go ahead and dive right in with Southwest Airlines, which is one of my biggest airlines, but stick around till the end of the video like I mentioned so you can find out more about all of my airlines that I have. So starting off at the first aircraft, we have the Arizona 1 737-300, Canyon Blue 737-300, Nevada 1 737-700, Maryland 1, Triple Crown 1, Tennessee 1, why am I forgetting this one? The Desert Gold livery, Lone Star 1, or the Texas livery, Florida 1, and then this is the standard Gemini Jets standard livery. I believe it was released in 2014, and I have 2 of those. Followed by Missouri 1 by NG Models, Louisiana 1, and of course my favorite, Colorado 1. And these are the 2 Panda releases. The blue color is a little bit off, but I still really enjoy them. After that we have California 1 and 2 Gemini Jets 737-800s. And of course everybody's favorite, Freedom 1. And then the new Triple Crown 1, I have the old one and the 700, but this is the 800 by NG. Canyon Blue 800, Canyon Blue 800, but really old. Illinois 1, Tennessee 1, standard Max 8, and then I threw in the 737 Max 7, even though it doesn't quite fly yet. It's also a really dark blue, unfortunately. Another Max 8, another Max 8, but in the Canyon Blue retro livery, which is so weird to say it's retro now. Then we have Desert Gold Max 8 retro, and then of course a MUA 1, which is Hawaiian's livery, or the Hawaii State livery for Southwest Airlines. Now beginning with United and United Express, we have a bunch of CRJ 200s, old livery, new livery, old livery, new livery. And this is the Air Wisconsin CRJ 200, but I'm using it for United Express, so I just threw it in my United collection. And then we have a United Express 200, 2 of them in the new livery, both by Gemini Jets. And this is a really old model that I don't think a lot of people know that I have, but it's the Q200, I believe, yeah, by United. Then we have the E145, and then the custom E145. This was a Delta E145 converted to United. Then we have a CRJ 550, 2 of them, but I use them as 700s because the 550 does not fly to Denver for some reason. And then we have the SkyWest CRJ 700. Not sure what the camera's doing there. Then we have the Mesa CRJ 900, which used to operate for United, but I don't even know what it's doing now. I think it went back to American. Then we have the Republic E170, normal United E170, a few E175s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 in the old and 2 in the new livery. Then we have, I think this was my first model ever. It is the United Shuttle 737-300, so a super old model. Followed by a 700 in the old livery, a 700 in the new livery, 2 A319s, an A320 in the Friendship tail, which is a very beautiful livery. Then we come back over here. United is a absolutely massive part of my collection. Having a Denver airport, of course. Make sure to check out the Denver airport updates if you haven't already. But here we have that's just my floor, it's pretty squeaky. But we have a United Airbus A320 Aeroclassics, then a 737-800 Gemini Jets, Star Alliance 737-800, normal 800 by NG, one of my favorites, the Star Wars livery, another 800, Max 8, another Max 8 but in the Being United livery, or United Together livery. Eco Skies livery, I don't know why they ever got rid of this airplane. I used to see it at Denver all the time. Another normal 900. Continental Retro livery 900 by Gemini Jets, that's an old model. Max 9 new livery. 2 Max 9s in the old livery. United Airbus A321neo, which are finally flying to Denver after all these years. Then the Max 10, I don't remember this livery, I think it's the Eco Demonstrator livery, I believe is what it's called, but they have it in the 787 too. Hopefully that'll be flying soon if Boeing can get it together. Then we have the Her Art Here 757, which is unfortunately repainted, but this is a California one. Normal 757, old livery 757, and then 757-300. And then the 767, which is supposed to be retiring soon, but I don't buy it. Then we have a new livery 787-9, an old livery 787-9, 777-200, 777-200. This release is pretty old. Then the Star Alliance 777-200. I wish I could find it in the blue engines. I think it's been released, but I don't have it. Then the 787-10, 777-300ER, and then the 747-400. So I do have quite a big United collection. United and Southwest were a big chunk of my collection, and obviously I need it for my Denver airport. And I do have some really exciting news about my Denver airport, so make sure you stick around till the end of the video for that. But moving on to our next airline, which has a big presence at Denver, that would be Frontier with their new ground gates, where you can freeze your you-know-what off while you go on the ground gates, not jetways. But here we have the A319. I'm not even gonna try with these tail names because I'm gonna butcher them so bad, but that's Pelican. That's not a Pelican, whatever that is. I am the one, the way your son don't need a... I know this is Griswold the Bear, A320. A320 Neo, Colorado the Bighorn Sheep, Georgia the Painted Bunting, I wanna say. A320 Neo. Something Bluebird, A320 Neo.
Stop it. Get some help.
Prairie the Prairie Dog. No, that's not right. Something Prairie Dog A320 Neo. Just kicked my yoke. That felt good. Then we have a Frontier A320 Neo in the Bronco. I'm done trying. Bob the Bobcat A321. Something Owl. Steve the Owl A321. No, Steve the Eagle A321. Right here, A321 Neo, and then A321 something Owl. And that's it for Frontier. Next we have Delta, which has a pretty big presence at Denver as well. We have the CRJ 700, E170, CRJ 900, and I went delusional for about a week looking for my 717, which would have gone right here, but apparently I sold it. Emotional, damn it! Next up we have the CS100 or A220-100, whatever you want to call it. Then the A319, MD90, which was also one of my first models. 737-800, 900, normal A321. It just looks like a Neo because Gemini Jets can't do engines very well. A321neo standard, 100 years A321neo, 757-200, 757-300, 767-300, 767-400, A330-300, 777-200, which I don't know why these don't fly anymore. That was a mistake by Delta. Then we have the A350 standard colors, and then the A350 in the LA Olympics 2028. And moving on to another US airline, because you guys aren't bored of that yet, we have a Allegiant. This is the Allegiant MD-83, I believe. This was actually a solid model by Gemini Jets. Then we have the A319, and then the A320. Followed by Hawaiian Airlines, I guess, which is Alaska now, but we're gonna give them their name back. Here's the 717 new livery, old livery, A321neo, A330 in the old livery, A330 in the new livery. And this A330 is by NG, and this is Gemini Jets. Followed by the NG Hawaiian 787-9, which is beautiful. Next up, we have a few one-offs, which is the Breeze A220, and then the Contour E145, which recently started service at Denver back in April. Next up, for another American airline, we have JetBlue. This is one of my favorite liveries. It's the E190 in the blueprint livery. I think it's a really unique livery, and you can see like the seats and overhead bins and stuff. Then we have the A220, I Heart New York A320, High Rise A320, Blueberry's Tail A320, A321. I don't know how I snagged this, but it was like $100 something, and in the mint livery, and that's all for JetBlue. Next up is Spirit. I believe this was the crayon livery. Controversial if I say crayon or crayon, but it's a really beautiful livery. And then we have the A320, two of them, and then the A321 by NG. Unfortunately, Spirit doesn't fly to Denver anymore, which kind of sucks, but maybe they'll come back soon. Then we have a one standoff Virgin America A321neo. Sun Country, we have the Tide Pod 737-800 and the old livery 737-800. Apparently I need to exercise a little more because I'm getting out of breath and having to end all these clips early. But next up we have American Airlines, starting off with the CRJ200 in the old livery, new livery, E175, A319, A320, One World 737-800, and the absolutely beautiful chrome 737-800. I don't know why they got rid of this livery. Moving along, we have the AirCal Retro 737-800, Max 8, A321, two of them. Then the A321 in the Stand Up to Cancer livery, A321 in the Medal of Honor livery. This is a beautiful livery. 757-200, gone way too soon. 767 in the chrome livery. This is by Dragon Wings, so it has plastic wings, which is kind of weird. They're a little flimsy, but you know, it works. US Airways A330 obviously would be operating for American. I did do a custom part of this, but it doesn't really look that great because I was like 3. Then we have the American 777-300ER. Moving on from American, we have another US airline, which is expanding like crazy, by the way, getting some 787s. And I actually think it's controversial, but the livery is very beautiful that they chose for the 787. But first up, we have the Dash 8Q 400, the E175, the old livery 737-700, new livery 737-700, Alaska Air Cargo 737-700. A320, which no longer flies for Alaska. And then I would say this aircraft is probably grounded considering it can't really move. But the Boeing livery 737-800. Salmon 30 Salmon 800 livery. Normal 800. And then the Max 8 in the Honoring Those Who Serve livery. And definitely the pride and joy of my collection, the More to Love 737-900, original release by Gemini Jets, so this is pretty old. I always get this livery wrong, but 737-900. One World 737-900. Again, Honoring Those Who Serve 737-900. I believe this guy just retired not too long ago, but it is the 900 without winglets. Pretty sad to see it gone, but you were pretty lucky if you got to fly on it. Then the West Coast Alaska 737 MAX 9. I actually do have a pretty good presence of Alaska Airlines, so I might have to do a Anchorage update soon. Next up is Iceland Air. And speaking of Iceland Air, I have an exciting update about that. I'm doing a Keflavik airport update soon with a special guest, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, and I guarantee you know them, so that'll be very fun. Starting off Iceland Air, we have the 737 MAX 8 old livery, 737 MAX 8 new livery, 737 MAX 9 new livery, same thing. I cannot pronounce these tails to save my life, so I'm not even gonna try. But this is a new model. I just got it a few days ago, the Iceland Air Airbus A321neo by Gemini Jets. They actually did a pretty good job. The engines are massive, as always, but you know, whatever. Then we have the Iceland Air Cargo 757, then the Iceland Air 757-200 in the 80 Years of Aviation livery. Then the world famous Hekla Aurora 757-200. The day they repaint this will be the worst day of my life, but hopefully they'll put it on an A321neo. Next up we have the Iceland Air Cargo 767 Freighter. Then we have the Play A321neo, Play Airbus A320neo. And that's it for my Icelandic carriers. Now moving on to my cargo airplanes. I don't really get to use them at Denver, unfortunately, but maybe that'll change soon. Here we have a 757 FedEx, 767 FedEx, MD-11F FedEx, and then 777. And moving on to UPS, we have these 757, 767 with winglets, MD-11F, 747 800 or 747 Freighter. Moving on from that, we have the Prime Air, Amazon Prime 767, Atlas Air 747, 8 or F, whatever you want to call it, and then the Global Super Tanker 747, which unfortunately does not fly anymore, but we really need it back because the fires are getting pretty bad in Canada as well as Colorado and other states. Behind that, we have the Kalitta Air 747 in the mask livery. I put this in my Honolulu airport all the time. And this very beautiful Emirates Sky Cargo 777 Freighter. I put that in my Honolulu update recently, so go check that out. Moving on to some internationals, we have the Turkish 780s 7-9. I would like to pick up the A350 soon, hopefully. Then we have the Aer Lingus A321neo, Aer Lingus A330-300, Air France 780s 7-9. I also have the A380 back here, but I forgot to put them together. And then we have the British Airways A320, British Airways 777-200, British Airways A350-1000, British Airways 747-400. Next up, we have Norwegian, which only flies these 737 MAX 8s and 800s, I believe, but no longer the 787, which used to service Denver. Then we have the Qantas 787 in the 100 years anniversary, extinct airline Alitalia A330, Edelweiss Airbus A330, and then this Saudi 707. And from there, we're moving on to U.S. Air Force military. I got a few of these planes, but I'm not entirely sure like what all of them are, but U.S. Air Force, that's definitely a 747, but I'm sure it has a new name. I believe that's an MD-10. Then the two VC-25s, also known as the U.S. Air Force or Air Force One. And these are the C-32s. C-32A, I believe, or also known as Air Force Two, what the Vice President flies on. And then we have the 737-700, as well as this U.S. Navy, I believe is what it is, 737-700. Then we have the Trump Vance plane that they use for their campaign, and then the iconic 757, 24 karat gold plated inside 757. And this is actually a Taiwanese 737-800, and then a blank U.S. Air Force 757. Then the C-17 Globemaster, I'm not entirely sure what that is, but it's an Air Force 707 of some sort. Moving on to some Hispanic carriers, we have the Aeromexico Connect E-170, then the 737-800 in the Corona beer livery, then the Volaris A321. I definitely need to expand my Hispanic fleet and add some more, but we'll see in the future, as well as my Canadian fleet. We have the Air Canada CRJ 900, Air Canada in the old mint blue E190, retro livery A220, and then mint livery 787-8. Then the WestJet 737-800 in the 100th NG, so 100 737 NG, or 737-800 NG. Then the WestJet MAX 8 and the WestJet 767. Moving along, we have the Transavia 737-800, Cayman Air 737 MAX 8, or Cayman Airways, DHL Cargo 737-800, the extinct WOW A321neo, Flair 737-800. They were supposed to be flying to Denver. That's why I picked up this model, but something must have fell through. And then two private jets that I got. I believe this is the G Gulfstream 650, and this is the Dassault Falcon 7X. And then finally for this row, we have the Copa 737-800 in the MLB livery, which is a pretty neat livery with all the teams on the side. Moving a little more to the back, we have the Asiana Airbus A380, the KLM Orange Pride 777-300ER. I did see they redid this livery, and I kind of wish they would have just kept this one because it looks really good, but oh well. Then, as I mentioned earlier with the other Air France 787, we have the A380, which came to Denver once for a medical diversion, so that was pretty cool. But now we get the Lufthansa A380 regularly. Then the Qantas A380 Go Wallabies livery. I've had this model forever for my LAX airport. If you want to see my old LAX airport videos, you're gonna have to scroll back pretty far, but I had a pretty cool LAX airport. Followed by the Fiji Airbus A350, Philippines Airbus A330, Japan 767. I always forget the name of this livery, but it's really neat. Then we have the 787-9, and then the ANA Airbus A380 in the Flying Honu livery that services my Honolulu airport. And wrapping up the back row, we have this Lufthansa Airbus A330-300 in the old livery. I do miss the old livery, but the black or dark blue does look pretty sleek as well. Then we have the A340-300 by Gemini Jets. I hope this doesn't retire for a very long time, but I know it's only a matter of time. Then we have the A350. I believe this is by Phoenix or Aviation 400, but it's not Gemini. Then we have the Lufthansa 747-8 in the Seeger livery. This was also one of my first models. A beautiful model. And finally, the Lufthansa Airbus A380, which now flies to Denver, which is super exciting. And then for my relatively small 1-200 collection, we have the Alaska E175, the A320, Southwest 737 MAX 8, and then the Continental 737-800 in the Star Alliance livery. But in the back here, we have some really old Herpa models that are 1-200. This is the New Mexico 1 livery, the NBA 1, and then the Desert Gold livery. None of these fly anymore except the New Mexico 1, but it's on the 800 now. And then this is also 1-200, the Delta Team USA A330. I really like this model. And then in 1-100 livery, we have the Southwest 737-700 in the Colorado 1 livery. Being from Colorado, I definitely needed this airplane. And wrapping up my 300 models, we have this blank 727. This 500 scale Cathay Pacific 747. I have no clue how I got this model, but it just showed up one day. And then this model I've never even taken out of the box, but it is quite cool. It is the Vickers Viscount, a heritage collection of British aviation. It's a pretty sick model, but I haven't taken it out of the box yet. But that does conclude that part of my collection. Now for some exciting news. That does conclude my 300 model collection. I hope you guys did enjoy. I will go over the stats in a moment about all the airlines and like my top 3. But I did want to share some exciting news. I'll be redoing my Denver model airport. As you can see, it's gone. The terminals are stowed away for a little bit. I'll be doing some exciting upgrades, so stay tuned for that video. New jetways, new markings, maybe some new cargo area. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but there'll be a video soon about my brand new Denver model airport, so stay tuned for that. And as promised, for some stats about my collection, so having 300 models in total, these are my top airlines. So coming in at number 3 with 19 model airplanes, it used to be 20, but I lost one of them, is Delta Airlines. And then coming in at number 2 with 31 models is Southwest Airlines. And finally, in first place with 55 models, we have United Airlines, of course.